Greetings. We continue today with part 3 of the destruction of the wicked from 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 5 through 9. When Peter talks about the immediacy of the destruction in verse number 6, he uses the perfect tense, the perfect mood, or the perfect mode to describe the example which God made of Sodom and Gomorrah, which means this destruction was not only immediate, but the effects of it were permanent. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah stands as the example of what God can do to those who are about to be living godlessly. Then we should look at the offenses which prompted God's judgment. Verse 7 literally says, "And he delivered Lot himself, a justified one, a righteous one, being vexed, distressed, oppressed, or harassed by agency of the filthy, immoral behavior, the licentious manner of life," hence the word conversation, "by means of the wicked ones. For the same righteous, justified one dwelling among them, by means of seeing with perception, and hearing day from day, or day after day, or day by day, it was vexing, harassing his righteous or justified soul by means of their unlawful deeds or works." We could also render this phrase, "and God rescued righteous Lot being harassed by means of the conduct of the ones living without law by means of perversions." There is an equation presented here. The conduct of the ones living without law equals the conduct of the ones living by means of perversions. In 2 Peter 2:8, the term without law is the regular word for law, which is Strong's 3551 nomos, with the prefix a negation, Strong's number 1. Thus it means without law, or more accurately, not subject to law. I think we should note here this does not mean that there were no laws or statutes on the books at the time. Rather, it means that they refused to live in conformity to the laws which existed. Sounds a lot like the days in which we're living. And interesting, Jesus compared the days before his second coming to the days in which Lot and Noah both lived for the flood, and these two examples. That is, they lived by means of their own perversions of the law, as if there was no law. Pay attention to God's word as it describes Lot as being a justified or a righteous man. This means that Lot was right with God in his personal relationship with him. We call that having salvation. He was saved. But it also tells us that Lot was not participating in the perversions of those living around him. However, Lot was negatively affected by the things which he witnessed, though he was not participating in them. Again, that's a great warning for us today. In this distinction, Peter uses two unique words. First, Peter uses the noun form, Strong's 992, blema, of the regular verb 991, blepo, which means to take a long and discerning look. Second, Peter uses a strengthened form of Strong's 1460, eg katokio, of the word for dwelling among. Lot had failed to come out and to be separate, as 2 Corinthians 6:17 warns us. "Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you." Of course, that verse was not available to Lot. But instead of fleeing at the very appearance of evil, as again we're admonished in 1 Thessalonians 5:22, the Bible tells us that Lot pitched his tent towards Sodom, and then in the gate of Sodom, and eventually he settled right down in the middle of it, looking at, listening to the perversions of right conduct which others around him were doing. Matthew 24:12 declares, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." This leads me to believe that many professing Christians today are making the same mistake that Lot made.